and WWE Male of the Year. But actually, this has a special name. I named this award the Frank's Fighter of the Year. The reason I picked Frank is that is the name of my grandfather who's sick currently. He's fighting every day. I wanted to name it after the best fighter that I know, and that would be my grandfather, Frank. So, Papa, if you're watching this one's for you. I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, the last award, Male Superstar of the Year, otherwise the Frank's Fighter of the Year. I'm not a religious person. I never have been, really. But seeing him the other day and how positive he was makes me hopeful that there is a heaven so I can meet him again. Frank had a smile that could light up a room. Anyone who spent time with him or met him was a lucky person. You know, a lot of you guys know me on the Wire to Wire network as Guardy3. Some of you know me personally, as Brett Gardapi. But without Frank, then I'm just absolutely none of that. Pretty much nothing without that man. He was my grandfather, but he was my really best friend and best man. So this is all dedicated to you. So just rest in peace, Papa. Love you.
Yeah. God, they on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. More better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move and every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong.
Hey, what's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guardy3, and welcome to the Meaty Boyz podcast. Of course, introducing at this time, on every week with me, he is the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing great. What an amazing tribute to your granddad. Rest in peace, Frank. Keep fighting, buddy. And Brett, just for the record, I am a little bit high on the religious side. Trust me, he's up there with the big guy having the best time.
I definitely appreciate it. And, of course, also joining us this week, he is a visionary. In fact, he is the visionary of Wire to Wire Sports Podcast Network. He is Gene Wozak. How you doing, Gene?
Bro, it was beautiful. What you just made was beautiful. And it reminds me so much of like what happened when my dad passed away and the way I felt. And I just want to share my thoughts and prayers for you and your family, let you know that you're loved. And I guarantee you your grandpa will be so proud of you watching the growth that you make each day. So I don't want to make this too emotional, but that was beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely appreciate it. I was always, this was always going to be one of the harder shows for me after watching that. But, at the end of the day, wrestling was always mine and Papa's thing. He's always kind of my wrestling buddy for life. So I felt compelled to make sure that we have this one, and I tried to honor him the best way I could. So, like I said, I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Definitely appreciate it. But why don't we get started with some Monday Night Raw talk, because a lot happened. We had new qualifiers for Money in the Bank. We had rivalries growing. But the first question I kind of want to ask you guys is, it's based off like the first segment, and it just seemingly since January. Is it time to get Seth Rollins kind of away from CM Punk? These have been feuding constantly since January, back and forth. So I'm curious on your guys' opinion. Is it time to, maybe try to get those two separated from each other for a while?
No, I don't think it is. I'll start there. I think they're the two biggest stars in the WWE that are there weekly on Monday Night Raw. I think you have, listen, maybe after the draft, if there's maybe after things happen where if people move over from SmackDown, but right now you're going to see main event Jey Uso, and he needs to have people with him to have his back to make it feel like a faction versus faction. You're getting this until War Games. You can already see what's happening with Bronson Reed, with Braun Breaker, with Seth Rollins. You're going to get a War Games match. It's going to feature CM Punk, Team Punk versus Team Rollins. I think that's what we're going to end at.
Say, what do you think, Mo?
No, I'm not tired of seeing them match up or link up against each other because there's still a ton of heat there. It's just a natural heat between the two of them. I do think that as we progress further into this wrestling cycle, there'll be a separation. I don't think they both elevate. At some point, Seth Rollins is going to be the world heavyweight champion. And I think there's always going to be that kind of feud or that animosity, but I don't think they're going to be operating on the same plane. So I do think they need each other to a degree, but at some point, Seth Rollins is going to be the whole show. And the heat that comes off of him, he can start a feud with anybody and make it work. So I think there's a reason they're still together. There's a reason they're going to be pitted against each other for the immediate future, and I think it still works.
And that's fair enough. And I think this feud Money in the Bank match and becomes Mr. Money in the Bank. And what fitting way to get mega heat on Seth Rollins, because it's almost trending like, let's say Cody Rhodes saves the WWE from John Cena's grasp, and then Seth Rollins catches in on Cody. Like, I think that this very well could end up intertwining to, another Punk versus Rollins feud down the line, except, they get the title involved, because I think it's not going to be too long before they get that title, one of the titles on Seth Rollins. So,
agree.
And I don't see them avoiding a Punk Rollins feud with the belt on the line this time.
No, and their mic work is way too good. Yeah, you're talking about probably the best in-ring performer in Seth Rollins, with the best mouthpiece in Paul Heyman, with right now the best faction in the Revolution. I'm calling it the Revolution. I don't care if they called it yet. They didn't get a name yet. They're the Revolution. I think, and then you go against CM Punk, who's the best mouthpiece all by himself, right? Like, he's the guy that's one of the best promo guys, the most over guy. It's a perfect fit. And I feel like that this feud is just beginning. I really think I think that they'll end up having a title match at the Royal Rumble, because I think the WrestleMania match becomes Sami versus Seth. Like, that's my projection. That's kind of where I've been going with it. But we'll see. We'll see how everything plays out. I think the WWE give them a lot of credit for their long-term storytelling. They're not writing WrestleMania 42 they're writing it before WrestleMania 41. They're years ahead of their storytelling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And since you kind of brought up next year, brought up next year's WrestleMania, where do you guys think it's gonna happen? Like, obviously got taken out of New Orleans, and now there's rumors of Vegas, London. So I'm just kind of curious on where do you guys think that WrestleMania could possibly end up? Do you think, if you had to guess?
Mo?
WWE is beloved overseas. I think even more so back home. I think London would be great, but I'll say this: you can't go wrong in Sin City, man. You can't go wrong in Sin City. Vegas is a perfect place to host a WrestleMania. So I don't think London or Sin City's wrong. If I had to guess, because they're always trying to be more international, more worldwide, I think they might lead towards London.
WrestleMania at Wembley would be great. What do you think, Gene?
I mean, what I think or what do I want? Big
Why
difference.
not both?
Well, what I think is, I think they're going back to Vegas. What I would love is, I would love for them to continue going to huge football stadiums. The whole problem with WrestleMania in London is the time difference. And are they going to be doing it at 5 a.m. So they can put it on live for the majority of their fans in the United States? Is WrestleMania going to change their times? It's an all-day event, right? So, like, that's the only thing that kind of throws me off about doing it overseas. I think they do a ton of events overseas. I think eventually it will get there. But what I'd want is, I'd want them to do it in like a huge outdoor arena or indoor dome. Just continue moving it to awesome places where you can customize the entrances and make everything as big as what WrestleMania is.
I will say, if they go back to Vegas, like, can I have like a WrestleMania where like the absolute final, like, the main event doesn't, because like they did really well with the main event of night one, but a lot of people, their final parting gift of WrestleMania will be the main event of night two. Can I get like a WrestleMania like main event, like actual final match where it's like not completely a depressing ending? Like, that's all I want at this point. There's been 2 WrestleManias in Vegas. Obviously, 41, we get Travis Scott interference. Before that, we get Hulk Hogan getting an impromptu title match to beat Yokozuna out of absolute nowhere. So
trash.
I don't know why every time they go to like Vegas, they just cannot book a halfway decent ending. So I'm just hoping, like praying, if they go back to Vegas, like lay off the drinks, please focus on the ending of the match. That's all I'm asking.
I'm with you. I think that there's a lot of places that you can have it. I'll tell you, Safeco Field or T-Mobile Park in Seattle is a place that it's a beautiful backdrop, beautiful setup. I think that's a place that you got to think of. There's just a lot of places that you can have these new domes, these new retractable roof stadiums. AT&T was a mess. I had a few friends that went to AT&T in Dallas, Texas, and the line was awful to get in. But I mean, I would love to see just different spots each year. I want them to continue going to different spots, but mainly throughout the country.
It's a really amazing facility. I don't think they're going to go there, but I forgot the name of it, but it's the one that the Clippers just finished building. That is an amazing facility, and it's ginormous. Like, if they were considering somewhere in California, that arena would be perfect for a WrestleMania.
I would say I would love to see him. I know, granted, the weather can be kind of rough at this, at that time of year, but the Vikings have such a beautiful stadium that they could do a lot with that.
What about Atlanta? Right. What about the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia?
I'd say last time they were there was WrestleMania 27. So yeah, it's been a while. They're due for another one.
They didn't have that stadium there in WrestleMania 27.
No, because I remember I think they were in Atlanta for 27, but yeah, that was before the Superdome. So definitely would love to see them go back. See, WrestleMania in Mexico needs to happen, especially now with AAA. It'd be interesting. Say Mariah May is NXT, but I'd love to see that. And WrestleMania in Canada, I don't think there's ever been a WrestleMania that's made it outside of the United States. I'm excited for Mariah May, Damian. That's going to be great. Last time we saw her, she had a 5-star match with Toni Storm. So I'm looking forward to her coming in and starting mixing it up with the young ladies in NXT. That's going to be fantastic. I'm curious, though, what do you guys think of the 2 additions to the Money in the Bank ladder match? Of course, we can start on the women's side, and I thought this was – the women's just has a super stacked ladder match. They added Stephanie Vakir to the ladder match. I think she has a match now in Mexico and, of course, for Money in the Bank in the same day now. How excited are you, scale of 1 to 10, for that women's ladder match? Because I think it's going to be great. Say, Gene, why don't we start with you?
I'm super excited, and it becomes a showcase event. That's what it becomes for a lot of these girls. Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vicaire, Julia. I think all three of them are there to showcase. I think they're there to be at their first, like, not real PLE, but like Roxanne's obviously been on a couple PLEs. But the point being is a super showcase event for those three. It's funny. I'm more excited for the women's Money in the Bank, just like I was more excited for the women's championship match night 2 of WrestleMania. I'm excited for the women's all women's PLE. I think that they're really doing some big things, especially with all the stars and that they have. I can't wait to watch it. I'll tell you who's not going to win. It's not going to be Rhea Ripley.
No.
Agreed. I'm excited because I just think the women's division is so stacked. And then you just go out and add these young studs from NXT. Stephanie Vicaire is a beast. She's an absolute beast. And that it thing, she has that times 10. I'm just going to be it's going to be exciting to see the next performers get up there and perform on that stage and that type of match. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Rhea's going to win, but I think they're going to keep you guessing throughout the match. I think it's going to be an exciting match till the very end. There's going to be a ton of false finishes.
Can I ask you a question, Brett and Mo?
Yeah.
Start bench cut, women's PLE edition, Roxanne, Julia, or Stephanie Vicaire?
Oh,
it's easy for me. I'm starting Stephanie Vicaire, and
Really?
I'll bench Roxanne.
You know what? I actually completely agree with Mo on this one. I love all three of them. I think Julia's fantastic, but Stephanie Vicaire just has like an aura, for lack of better term, and like star power, and she's just absolutely fantastic in the ring, no matter who she steps up with. Fantastic on the mic. She's like the complete package, and I think all three of them are, but I think Stephanie, out of those three, I think she's going to have the brightest future, but I don't think Roxanne's that far behind. And I think Julia's great too. I think she's fantastic. So personally, you can start, bench, or cut any combination of the three. Wouldn't be a wrong answer, but I would start Stephanie and I would bench Roxanne.
I thought I was going to be on my own little. It looks like they're going to put a rocket ship behind Stephanie Vicaire.
Yeah.
You can see with the situations that they're putting her in. I thought I was going to be on my own, and then that's when Mo said it very easy. I'm like, oh wow, I guess I'm reading the room the wrong way. I agree with you. I'm starting Stephanie Vicaire. I'm benching Julia, and I'm cutting Roxanne Perez. I think they tried getting her up, and I'm not. They're going to put her in that Judgment Day faction. It's going to be awful. I can just tell now.
I feel like when you go to the Judgment Day where it's at today, that's almost like going to the LWO.
Right?
I'm just saying, like, that's where careers go to end.
Yeah, I did hate seeing her there. That to me, that was like Emmitt Smith going to the Cardinals at the end of his career. Like, oh yeah, there it is. Like, it's just the Judgment Day. Just I don't think is very exciting outside of obviously Liv and Dom. So,
but you see the storyline playing out, right?
Oh yeah,
she's gonna undercut Liv, and it's gonna come down to a decision: do they all eventually turn on Liv and Dom, right? Because that's where the storyline is going. And even if it goes that way, though, it's still the Judgment Day. How entertaining can that be? Like Liv and Dom are stars, but the rest of them at this stage of their careers, they're not. They're irrelevant. Like the Judgment Day as a whole is irrelevant.
So you could argue that like the third most entertaining person after those two was Carlito when they sent him back in.
No, I cannot argue
that.
I don't know. All he did was take punches, and he did a bit that was tired to me when he was in his prime. It was tired then, and they brought it back. And all he did was get beat down every week or every pay-per-view. The first person to get beat up was Carlito.
They're ruining Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor is super entertaining. I think he could be great. I think they need to try something new with Finn Balor. I think that they've done a very poor job with the way they've marketed Finn, and bring him back to the Demon, man. Have everybody jump him and beat him up, and have him come back as the Demon. Like, that would be more entertaining to me. The Demon versus Edge was one of the most incredible matches I got to watch. And why did we lose that? Like, why did we lose that persona?
And I agree. Finn Balor is being treated like a mid-card guy. And I would argue that Finn Balor should be up there with Sami Zayn and all the rest of those guys. Like, he's on that level. I would argue that Finn Balor is actually better than Sami Zayn, but they're treating him like just a jag. And I don't understand that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think my problem with Finn is just, and it's kind of like you guys are touching on, like, I love Finn, but this version of Finn, to me, I'm just like, not really that excited about, Judgment Day Finn Balor. I loved, like, when he was, coming out with his own theme and occasionally busting out the demon. I thought that was terrific. But, like, they've watered him down so much. And, I could easily get myself excited for him again if they would just let him break back out on his own. But
let him go free.
Right. But as of right now, I'm just like, oh, yay, it's Finn Balor with the generic Judgment Day theme song. Yay.
It's kind of like how poorly they ran with Shinsuke Nakamura. And I think that Shinsuke is another one that they've really done a very poor job of marketing. You're going to talk about a guy that's an incredible wrestler. Like, his in-ring performance is right up there with Seth Rollins. Some of the matches that he had with Seth were just so good. Great in-ring performer. You could do way more with him, and you could do way more with Finn.
I agree.
And I would love.
You know what? Honestly, Brett, real quick, I actually thought one of the guys that was going to be like a low key add-on to the faction, to the Revolution, I thought it was going to be Shinsuke. I thought it was, because I thought he is the perfect guy to be like the bodyguard or have Seth Rollins back.
I thought they were going to do something big with Shinsuke when he beat LA Knight for the U.S. title, and then it just led absolutely nowhere. So yeah, Shinsuke and Finn are kind of like in the same like category of like, I could get excited for them very easily, but they just, need to do something entertaining with them or let them be entertaining.
Yeah.
Say Finn said he doesn't want to be the demon anymore after what happened at Mania with the steel cage match. Oh, the Hell in a Cell with Edge. I still hate how, like, when people say, which match, if you could change one match in WWE history, which one is it? Or the outcome of which match? Like, that is one of the matches where I'm like, yeah, Finn should have beat Edge.
I didn't understand that. They knew Edge was on his way out. Like, they were just trying to give him a moment. Like, I didn't get it.
Yeah, and if you're gonna have like Finn lose, then like keep the demon at home. Like,
right?
What are you propping up? Like, why do we need to prop up Edge? Like, he's at a point in his career where you don't really need to do anything to prop up Edge. He just kind of shows up, and he's a big deal already.
Correct. I agree with you.
And then on the men's side of things, we added El Grande Americano to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. To me, it's stunning because like I don't know why he couldn't just get this big push as like Chad Gable. But what do you guys think of El Grande being added to the title match and just the men's side altogether? Mo, we'll start with you.
I think he got added because at the end of the day, somebody's got to get pinned. You know what I mean? Like some of the guys they added them because you need a couple of guys that are going to get pinned. All right. That Andrade, he get either Andrade or Chad Gable, El Grande, whatever they're calling themselves. One of those two are getting pinned.
Well, they just grab the briefcase. There's no pinning, but
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They're there just to get in the way. They're not going to win.
I think that by putting El Grande Americano in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, you basically just said to yourself, there's only two people that can win, and there's an 85% chance it's Seth Rollins, and there's a 15% chance it's Solo Sikoa, and nobody else has a chance of winning. There's nobody else that you can give that Money in the Bank briefcase to that's in that match. You can't give it to Penta. That's stupid. You're not going to give it to Andrade or El Grande Americana. And LA Knight would be the worst person ever to walk around with their friggin' briefcase.
If LA Knight wins, I'm not watching.
There's no way. Like, he was no point of him winning that. I don't know how you have Penta winning it. Penta is not getting the briefcase.
Facts. It only makes sense for Seth Rollins to win it because if Seth Rollins gets that briefcase, he is the scariest man that could ever have that briefcase. Seth Rollins is going to torture both champions at any given time because he's going to pick the perfect time to cash in, and he's going to be wearing the belt. I think it's going to be sooner than later. I think he's going to take the belt off of Jey Uso. Nothing against Jey. I just think that's the harsh reality.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Hey, you know what? It could be later that night. They got the tag team match set up with John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Both champions will be there for Seth to cash in on if he wants to.
It won't be later that night. I'll tell you why. Brett, you might be right, and if you're right, I'll apologize to you. But the reason it won't be later on that night is they're going to sell the Seth Rollins briefcase. They're going to remind you of the Money in the Bank cash-in that happened at WrestleMania when Seth held it for almost a year. It will 100% be a sales pitch this year by him having that and having that control. And he's going to end up cashing it in after Braun Breaker and Sumo Boy decide to jump on Jey Uso 100 times. He'll be laying in the middle of the ring. Those two will be bodyguards protecting the ring, and Seth Rollins will cash in, and Jey Uso will be completely taken out.
I 100% agree with that. I think Breaker's gonna spear him. I think Bronson Reed is gonna tsunami him. Seth can walk in and probably just stand over him, but you know he's gonna stomp him too. Like, I think all those things happen, and then he takes the belt off of Jey.
Yeah, I think lately they've been teasing some fun, like a potential face turn with almost Gunther. I could see Seth teasing like he's going to cash in on Jey Uso the next night on Raw because there's a title match between Jey and Gunther.
It could happen. I could see that happening.
I could see them teasing it, but that might be the perfect spot if you're going to turn Gunther face. Maybe he helps defend Jey from Seth. Would be an interesting rabbit hole to go down if you're trying to test him out as a face. See what reaction that gets.
I think if Bronson Reed and Breaker show up, I think Gunther leaves Jey to them. I think he just steps out of the ring and leaves Jey to get beat down. Certain guys can be faces and pull it off, and it works. I just don't see Gunther as a face. I don't see it. I think if they do that, they're going to hurt him much more than they would help him. He's not a face.
I think that you'll get CM Punk and Sami Zayn coming out to stop the cash in and getting in a fight. They'll tease it on Monday Night Raw, but I think that you'll get them involved. I think Seth will find the perfect time to do it. CM Punk will get taken out earlier in the show, and then Sami Zayn will get beaten up by Bronson Reed. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the night, Jey Uso's all by himself and Revolution's all around him, and they end up taking it from him. I think it'll actually be a squash. I really believe that.
No, I think that's honestly that's just the right way to go about it. I think Revolution's going to be a faction where they all hold gold at some point. It just makes too much sense to, right? It could be singles titles, or you could make Breaker and Bronson win the tag titles.
They're going to be the tag team champions. You can already book that. They're going to win the tag. Somebody's going to beat the New Day, and then they're going to beat who beats the New Day.
No, I really hope that somebody or they beat the New Day soon. Like, ever since that heel turn, man, it's just been gone downhill so quickly for the New Day.
It is time for a New Day. It's time for them to stop. They need to stop. Like, this whole heel turn and what they've done to them, I feel like I don't think it helped their legacy. I think it hurt it more than it helped it. I didn't like any of it. It wasn't necessary. You could have just kept them along because they were fan favorites. They don't have to win the belts anymore, but they can be entertaining and win matches here and there. And that would have been fine because they've had their time at the top. This heel change, it's a bad sell. It doesn't work for me.
It almost feels like that's kind of been a problem lately at times with, almost like in this Triple H era of booking, because I thought the actual turn itself by the New Day was terrific, but then the follow-up was disappointing. And then a couple months later, we have another heel turn in John Cena, with a lot of people saying that the follow-up is disappointing. So I think it's interesting that it almost feels like we had two heel turns that, if executed correctly, could have gone down as just great or all-time great heel turns, and then we're talking about how they fumbled it rather than how great they were, which is unfortunate.
Cena's turn in the moment was amazing, but the way that they followed through on it was ruined because The Rock initially is a big part of the storyline. It was like he's the guy that literally was in the ring and gave Cena the order to take out Cody, and then you eliminate The Rock like he never did that, like he was never part of that, and that never made sense.
I was saying, it sucks because the guy who eliminated The Rock was The Rock. He admitted that in the Pat McAfee interviews, like, oh, I took a step back because this story didn't need the final boss. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this story was built around partially the final boss. Like, of course you need the final boss in this storyline.
The longer and longer I watch The Rock, the more and more I realize how much of an egomaniac, selfish prick he is. And I go back to the John Cena promo. He's like, I was one of the fans of The Rock, the millions and people in their hand, until I met Dwayne Johnson. And I don't like Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson's a cold-hearted, selfish, like, I love that. That's a great promo. Such a good promo.
It's so true.
And by the way, we could say John Cena as a heel turn is not being successful because of the matches. The promos are very successful. They are hilarious. I love John Cena's promos. For him to go and put Logan Paul over had to be one of the funniest things I ever seen. I was dying.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm probably more entertained by John Cena as a heel than most.
Yeah.
Because I've always enjoyed his promo work. I've always thought it was fantastic.
100%.
And as soon as they announced Cody challenged him and Logan Paul, I'm like, oh god, John Cena's gonna put over Logan Paul one of these, and it's gonna piss everybody off. It's gonna be the funniest thing ever. And it turns out that was correct. Him putting over Logan Paul was just so great. He's so over the top with it.
Gotta give credit where credit's due. Logan Paul cut an incredible promo on SmackDown. It was an incredible promo. And people have to start giving him his due. He's really good. Look, I'll say something that a lot of people don't want to hear. Logan Paul's a better wrestler than Jey Uso. Logan Paul is better on the mic than Jey Uso. Logan Paul is a better WWE superstar right now than Jey Uso.
I'll go a step further. I think Logan Paul is a better WWE superstar than a lot of established stars right now today. He is naturally physically gifted, but it's one thing to be physically gifted. He's also gifted on the mic, and a lot of people can't do that, but he gets it. He's comfortable in his own skin, and when he talks, you literally believe he believes what he's saying, and it works. I think the sky's the limit for Logan Paul. Like, I get it. The men's division, there's a log jam. Maybe not now, but there's going to come a time when he's going to be the guy.
I'm just hoping that they never give into any temptation to turn him face. He is one of those guys that has to remain a heel for his entire career. He's just way too much of a natural at it.
And I feel like you need to surround him with guys that you love to hate too. Like, I could see Logan Paul down the road in a faction with Dom. I could see that because they're perfect in the sense that people love to hate both of them.
I will say, people are starting to cheer Dom. We saw the ovation at WrestleMania. People are starting to love him a little more.
I think Dom's turning face.
It almost feels like that's the direction him and Liv are going. People love him too much.
Yeah, I think they get bum rushed out of the Judgment Day, and they kind of become the way Rhea and Priest were when they bounce. I think they're going to be faces, which I don't like that. I like my Dom a heel. I like Liv a heel, but I think I
Liv's
think you're right.
Liv's a
You're
way
right.
better heel. Liv can't have that laugh and be a face. Like,
That's a good
can't.
point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Think the key with them is you just got to continue to let them be them, and if that means they're more of a tweener than a full blown face, that'd be great. Because we've seen it too many times where WWE they'll like, oh, you're a face now. We're going to completely change your presentation, or vice versa. And I think as long as go ahead. Yeah,
turn Bailey heel again. She's terrible.
Yeah, she. I do like at this point. I do like her better as a heel, but I'm guessing they'll bring her back as a face. It seems. I'm guessing against Becky Lynch. It sounds like that's what they're teeing up.
Yep.
Say it. Hey, her versus Becky Lynch at Evolution 2 would hit really hard.
I want to see that.
I did too.
I do love that. I feel like some people though. It's so funny that some people miss the point of Evolution. I saw some people like, here's my dream card for Evolution, and they're like doing a Judgment Day mixed tag with like Finn Balor there. I'm like, guys, that's not the point of Evolution. Like, but I will say this about Evolution. I think WWE also just has to keep their expectations kind of tempered, and what I mean by that is they booked Evolution 2 on the same night as a Beyonce concert. So I think that, might, tear into the attendance a little bit. So I think the fact that they decided to book it on also a night where there's another popular event going on in Atlanta, I just don't want to see them be like, oh, attendance was lower than most pay-per-views. It wasn't a complete sellout. We're not going to run it again. I think that would just be disappointing. So I hope WWE, when they're, figuring out how many people do expect and what their expectations are, they don't accidentally set the bar too high, and then it turns out, Beyonce's super famous and a lot of people want to go see her, and then it's like, well, we just won't run these again. It's not popular enough. That would be very unfortunate.
Agreed.
I think the attendance is still going to be great. I understand how big B is, but for true wrestling fans, that people enjoy it, especially where women's wrestling is at now. Like, I came up at a time where the idea of watching an all women's pay-per-view, it wasn't an idea. And rightfully so, because they weren't nearly as entertaining or as talented in the ring as they are now. It's a completely different thing. That some of these women are every bit as talented as any of the top men when it comes to their performances. And I love it. I'm here for it. I can't wait to get into Evolution. I'm excited.
100%. I agree with you.
Yeah, no, if you had told me that they were running an all-women's pay-per-view back when I was really watching hardcore in like 2013, I'd be like, so are we just running like Paige versus AJ in like a 2-hour Iron Man match? Because that's really all I care to see.
Right.
So I'll give them all the credit in the world for just really kind of diversifying the roster. And, there's a lot of great matches, you can build off of, with, Bianca, which should be back by then, Stephanie, Rhea. Like, there's just so many directions that you can go. And, of course, the Money in the Bank briefcase, I could see them maybe cashing it in there to make it feel even more special. Which it'll be interesting to see where they go with that, too. Like, there's so many young prospects they could give it to and realistically say they're building towards the future. Or I could see them being like, hey, we can do a great story with Naomi with this one.
I mean,
what did you think about Naomi?
I think there's only two people that can win that briefcase, just like the men's Money in the Bank. I think it's Naomi and Alexa Bliss.
I'm with Gene. I was going to ask Gene that, but no need. I'm with Gene. I think that there's a storyline to go with Alexa, but there's another storyline should they choose with Naomi. I could see it.
I mean, I could see them figuring out a way to get Bianca Belair the title and have Naomi cashing in on Bianca Belair.
Yes,
like that whole obsession thing that they keep playing off of. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of different ways that they can do that. Listen, Trinity Fatu is going to get her hands on a title just because of her last name. I'm being very clear when I say this. Naomi's absolutely deserves it. Let me just be clear when I say that. But when you're married into that family, I'm telling you,
Yeah, it's one of those things. For the men's, I think the most interesting stories belong to Seth and Naomi. So I really hope that they end up with it.
Agreed.
Say it and say what there's a million different ways that you can go with both of them, but say Seth harassing Jey Uso for months and months on end just sounds like a great story. It might not even be months. The thing with Seth is I feel like they're going to tease like, oh, I held the belt for a year. They're going to keep playing it off and then just all of a sudden cash it in sooner rather than later. I feel like they're going to use the whole year storyline to make it think he's going to hold on to it for a long time. Then all of a sudden, bam, cash in. He won the title on a random Raw, and you're just like, what?
Seth is getting ready to be the most powerful man in all of wrestling. His faction, the faction that Gene named, he's 100% right. They're all going to be wearing gold. They're going to dominate wrestling for the foreseeable future till somebody steps up and I guess generates a great feud with them. But think about this. Who in the tag team division, in the current tag team division, can beat Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed? None of them. They're going to run through that division and hold those belts as long as they want to.
I completely agree with you, especially with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins with the antics involved. I think, and by the way, it will definitely recharge and rejuvenate the tag team division again. It's kind of sad because you look at the SmackDown tag division and you're like, this is great. Let me see more of this. This is incredible. Every other night you're ending with the SmackDown tag division between the Street Profits and then now listen, they're bringing back the Wyatt Six, and then you have Motor City Machine Guns and DIY, and these are all good tag teams. Now they got Fraxium. Like, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing what ends up happening with Raw's tag team division because it's a joke. New day sucks. Right.
And look, I think wrestling's great when there's a dominant faction that everybody can't beat, even though they try to band together to beat them, but they find a way to win. Like I'm looking at Seth Rollins and the crew that he has with Heyman, and I feel like they're getting ready to go on a run where they're gonna be a meaner version of DX.
I'd say hey, that would be great. That would be absolutely fantastic. Listen, I know I wouldn't last long against, if I was in a tag team and my opponents were Breaker and Bronson. As soon as I see, Bronson going up to the top rope for the tsunami, I'm tapping out. Like, nope, you can have the titles. We're done. So that man is just pretty insanely athletic for his size. It's wild how just quickly he can move around, even coming off of a broken foot. Like, he's just still so mobile for just being how big he is. I love Big Bronson Reed. I'm a fan of his.
It's crazy to see him, but it's even more insane to see how the speed that Breaker has coming off the ropes. Like most people bounce off the ropes and there's a move or a counter move. He comes off the ropes and he accelerates a second time. And I've never seen anybody come off the ropes that fast before.
I will say, eventually, I'm sure this will lead to a Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker feud down the line at some point.
Maybe.
And I will say I really want to see him try to do his favorite counter to the spear, which is turn the spear into a pedigree. You can do it with Roman because he can kind of slow down, but with Braun running at like 23 miles an hour, I want to see him try to counter that into a pedigree. That would be absolutely sick.
Look, all great factions come to an end at some point. I'm sure you're right. That'll come to an end. But when it does come to an end, I feel like as physically gifted as Breaker is, you're still talking about a student coming after the master. They might have great matches. Breaker's not beating Seth Rollins.
No, that's fair enough. I do like I said, I'm looking forward to, watching that matchup down the road, but, I'm even more excited to see what they do as a faction together.
I am a visionary. I am a revolutionary. I am Seth freaking Rollins. I'm a fan.
No, Absolutely. I do love the little teases they're doing with the the bloodline or the new bloodline. Listen, I've always been it's funny when Solo they first introduced him and they're trying to make him like the tribal chief, wasn't a big fan. But man, they're letting Solo be Solo, and he's the funniest guy ever. Him interrupting Jacob Fatu and doing that, you know what I mean? That was so funny, and his little dances and everything. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to become a huge Solo fan. He's just so naturally funny.
He's gotten so much better, though. You can see the development, the character development, and how much more comfortable he is speaking for himself. His personality's coming out. Solo's entertaining as hell. That said, the baddest man, Jacob Fatu's the baddest man. That's a bad man. That is a bad man.
They put the U.S. title on that man just so they can keep him away from the World Heavyweight Championship.
100%. 100%. He is the U.S. champ, I think, for a while, just to keep him away from being in the World Heavyweight Championship picture.
Correct.
Granted, I would absolutely love to see a tag team match with him and Solo seemed to be there to be the fall guy, but him and Solo versus Breaker and Reed for the tag titles.
Ooh.
That would just be an absolute slobber knocker. In
You
the
could
words
probably
of
see
good old JR.
Solo and JC Mateo versus Bronson and Breaker.
Yeah,
that'll be a brawl. A now brawl.
Yeah,
they're not going to put Jacob Fatu in a position to get pinned. They're not. It's just they're very, very careful about the way they're doing that.
I love the introduction, and I do love some JC Mateo. Got to catch some of him. He was wrestling a little bit in AEW. Got my first glimpse of him as Jeff Cobb, and he's absolutely talented. And he's had a couple of fun matches so far, and I've been looking forward to seeing more of him.
Quick question, Brett, and maybe Gene knows the answer to this. How tall is JC Mateo? Because I know he's a thick, husky dude, but he looks like he's 5'6". He looks like a little Martian. He looks tiny.
5'10".
That's way more than I thought he would be. Like
Solo and Jacob Fatu are both 6'2", so it makes him look smaller. Womp, 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 womp. They need to change Solo's goddamn entrance music. I'm taking it all. Get that out there. You see what the entrance music did to Jey Uso.
Facts.
Get better entrance music.
Hey, I will say, we saw that Metro Boomin was apparently going to make a couple new theme songs for a couple people, so it'd be great to get some more licensed theme songs back in the WWE that are more, relatable. So
can we talk about the truth, bro?
Oh yeah, please.
That's exactly where I was going to go next after this. Our truth, he is not getting his contract renewed. He's departing the company. Definitely have some thoughts on that one, but who would like to start on the release of our truth?
It sucks. It sucks. He's one of my favorite WWE stars, and I know he's not in the thick of the title picture. He's not one of those guys, but he's so entertaining despite that. He is that rare guy that's funny no matter what he does. And I know people were talking about what's your favorite R-Truth moment. I don't have any one moment. I've got several moments. My favorite R-Truth moments are when he makes other performers break character and laugh. And he's done that several times. When you have that gift and you can make people laugh and break character, that says all it needs to be said. I think wrestling, it's fun, it's entertaining. We know it's scripted, but I think you need a guy who's naturally gifted at bringing that little bit of comic relief. I like that. I think that's necessary. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why they chose to let him go because I still think he has value.
I couldn't agree with you more. And he's still hilarious on Twitter. You see, he got an OnlyFans, and when he posted, like, he is so funny, man. Talking about Mark Henry feet pics, and like, it's just He cracks me up, man. I'm really hoping that the outcry and the people that are all fighting for him, they make a decision to bring him back. Maybe they go, oh, it was an April Fool's joke. It's in June. It's Ron Cena signed as opposed to Ron Killings. I don't care.
Yeah, I do that.
But like, bring him back. Bring back the truth. The truth signs where CM Punk could not hold back when the Let's Go Truth or We Want Truth started on Raw. And WWE obviously did whatever they could to drown out that noise. Like they did everything they could to stop that. Which I don't like either. Don't drown out the fans. The fans have to come together and get the WWE to bring back R-Truth.
You know what? I'll go a step further. If you want to make the Judgment Day entertaining, bring Truth back and let him finally be in the Judgment Day. I'll watch the Judgment Day just because R-Truth is a member.
Best part of the Judgment Day was when Truth was telling JD McDonough he wasn't in Judgment Day.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was hilarious.
And the shirt where he crossed out his name and put Dom and Nick Mysterio and then put R-Truth on there.
He did a bit where he was talking to Priest, but he was talking to Priest like JD McDonough wasn't like right behind him. And he was like, do you want to be the one to tell JD he's out, or do you want me to do yo, he's hilarious.
What was your favorite Truth moment?
Oh, mine, I think that one of mine has to be and the backstory makes this even better. It's when he got Brock Lesnar to break character in the middle of the ring.
What you talking about, Paul Heyman?
Yeah, Paul Heyman betting him that he couldn't do it, and then he comes out and he just knocks it out of the park.
Big man, Paul Heyman.
Oh yeah, and you know what? As much as like people hated at the time on the 24/7 titles, Truth always found a way to make those entertaining. And honestly, it would be kind of a funny bit if like TNA signed him if he just started walking up to the ex-WWE wrestlers and acting like he never left.
By the way, Damien said R-Truth is cool, but to be honest, in my opinion, he wasn't really doing anything in WWE. Don't get me wrong. The comedy stuff was funny, but it was dragging way too long. Okay, Damien, I want to ask you a question. What has JD McDonough done in the last year and a half? What has half the tag team divisions on Raw done the last 2 years on Raw? What is – look, I hate saying this. I hate putting it out there. What has Big Jim done? There's a lot of guys that just haven't done anything.
Facts.
So, like, let's not put R-Truth – like, at least he was funny. At least it was comic relief. It was a perfect in between, like, a serious Seth Rollins, CM Punk segment. And then after the segment, they cut the R-Truth in the Judgment Day. Or like, that was exactly the comic relief I needed, you know? Like,
and I think having someone like Truth is always like needed because when it comes to wrestling, you just want like diversity when it comes to, entertainment, right? You need serious, you need emotional, and also you need your comic relief guys. And I thought R-Truth, filled that better than anybody. Just maybe in WWE history. Just no matter who he was working with, if it's getting Brock Lesnar to break character, if he's calling Triple H Tommaso Ciampa and getting him to break character in the middle of the ring, like it just didn't matter because he just found a way to make everybody laugh. And I think when it comes to wrestling, that's just always important that he's always could get emotion out of people.
His ability to make you laugh is more entertaining than watch the New Day being the champs.
oh God,
He's more relevant than the New Day. Like, I get it, he's not in the title picture and he's not wearing belts, but there's so many guys that have belts on that are not entertaining. The New Day are irrelevant and they're the tag team champions. I would rather see R-Truth talk for 15 minutes than listen to the New Day.
And people forget R-Truth can still go in the ring. Like, he's still a very good performer when, you give him the right dance partner. He can move for 53.
And even though that like he's a heel and he like leads into that. Got to give John Cena his credit. His post on his IG, he posted a picture of Truth in the Ron Cena shirt on his Instagram, kind of like showing tribute to R-Truth. I thought that was a great move.
Yeah, absolutely. I was curious to see how he would react to it because I figured he would play tribute online. I wonder if it gets mentioned at all on WWE TV. I doubt it, but also like I could also very well see John Cena seeing the outrage and bringing it, saying like, "I got R-Truth fired." Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he actually would, but John does see a lot of the stuff that happens online, so like maybe I don't think he will, but it'll be interesting to see if they just kind of let it go, or maybe Cena takes credit for retiring him.
Look, wrestling's a cutthroat business, but the fact that you see all these superstars coming out with support for Truth, it tells you like not only was he a hard worker and a great performer, he was one of those dudes that everybody liked. He's beloved in the locker room. There are some mega stars that aren't beloved in the locker room.
Yeah, no, let's sign another luchador. Let's continue putting off the Alpha Academy on TV and Tozawa and like what are they doing? Like I don't understand. Like when we talk about what's R-Truth doing, you tell me who's having. That was the worst Money in the Bank run of all time. Was when Tubby won it from Alpha Academy.
Otis.
He called him Tubby.
And then the thing with R-Truth, because he was, he was great in TNA, but here's the thing with, and I think maybe sometimes gets overlooked, right? Because R-Truth did, have a run as a heel, back in 2011. They really did a lot of different things with him, but when you get into a company like WWE, there's already like 27 different, badass characters. So you have to find it, half the time you have to find a different way to stick out. And I think R-Truth could have pulled it off. Like, I think he's that fantastic overall. But, at the end of the day, I think that, he kind of saw like, hey, the badass niche is already filled. Let me try to, figure out a different way to, have staying power and longevity. And to his credit, he was able to, perfectly do that by wearing many different hats. And I don't, speaking of WWE releasing superstars, what's y'all thoughts on Miz and Gunther, probably the next guys to be cut? I don't think Gunther's going anywhere. Miz, I don't think he's going anywhere either, but
I think he's talking about that both of them scrubbed all their WWE stuff off of media. I think that Miz might be leaving the WWE. I really believe that. But I think part of it was to do with the fact that they didn't re-sign R-Truth. And Miz notoriously has been friends with R-Truth and made that post about Truth after he was released. I think it's more of an anger that they released R-Truth.
No, absolutely. Mo, what do you think about the Miz and Gunther just cleaning out WWE out of their Twitter? You think there's anything there for that?
I don't think Gunther's going anywhere, but I'm with Gene. I think it's personal for the Miz, and we're talking about a guy who's been a WWE lifer, but he's loyal to his friends, and I think it's real. I think Miz is out. The question is he done as a performer? Because I have to. If he's not, and I know, something for him to do. Because he's an entertaining guy in whatever capacity you put him in. But I respect the fact that Miz is like, no, what you did to my friend who's been with this company almost as long as I have, I don't like it. I think it's wrong. And he's standing on it, and he's doing something that a lot of performers wouldn't do. So I respect that.
No, absolutely. And, the Miz at the end of the day, he wouldn't have a, shortage of suitors to go to. He's a fine wrestler. He's a fine wrestler, but more importantly, he's just so elite on the mic when he wants to be that he can just go anywhere. And even if he was done being a wrestler, he could just make a ton of money just being an announcer or
I agree.
even just showing up every once in a while. So, but
I think he might end up being the next host of the challenge.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
hey, that'd be a lot of fun.
I think TJ Lavin's career is kind of coming to an end for hosting the challenge.
Hey, that'd be great. And I think like being a TV host, ironically, it would be perfect for him.
Yep. Ms. and Mrs.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that at the end of the day, I'm excited to see what happens, with everybody, but at the end of the day, that's all I had for us today. You guys have anything before we get up on out of here?
No, look, appreciate the chat. Appreciate Damian, everybody out there that's joining us tonight. Always great to have the NFL Genius hop in. So love it. And make sure you check us out tomorrow at Coffee and Sports in the morning show.
Say anything you wanted to add in, Gene?
No, first of all, I just want to. He said, "Do you think Cross should leave the WWE?" No, I think he's about to get pushed. If I'm being honest with you, looking forward to seeing the way they push him because I feel like that his popularity is starting to skyrocket. I will say this, and check us out in the morning, Coffee and Sports in the morning. But I'm hoping that if you're listening or watching, that you can go back and rewatch the show, or maybe Brett can exit us out on that beautiful tribute because this show is dedicated to the man. And I love you, Brett. Care about you. I don't mean to bring up a sour spot, but just want to remember, just in remembrance.
No, absolutely. Say I'm down with that. I agree with Gene, by the way. I don't think that I think Cross is about to get pushed. I think he should give it some time, see if they do anything with them. But I'll say, once again, definitely appreciate all you guys tuning in. Say, definitely check it. We'll be back next week. It'll be great. So you can check us out Thursday for and one as well. We'll probably do a watch along. It's game 1 of the NBA Finals. So until next time, we thank you all so very much for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your night. And WWE Male of the Year, but actually this has a special name. I named this award the Frank's Fighter of the Year. The reason I picked Frank is that is the name of my grandfather who's sick currently. He's fighting every day. I wanted to name it after the best fighter that I know, and that would be my grandfather, Frank. So, Papa, if you're watching this one's for you. I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, the last award, Male Superstar of the Year, otherwise the Frank's Fighter of the Year. I'm not a religious person. I never have been, really. But seeing him the other day and how positive he was makes me hopeful that there is a heaven so I can meet him again. Frank had a smile that could light up a room. Anyone who spent time with him or met him was a lucky person. A lot of you guys know me on the Wire to Wire network as Guardy3. Some of you know me personally, as Brett Gardaby. But without Frank, then I'm just absolutely none of that. Pretty much nothing without that man. He was my grandfather, but he was my really best friend and best man. So this is all dedicated to you. So just rest in peace, Papa. Love you.